Hello, everybody, and welcome to Monday's edition of the Power Hour. And how's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Doing good. Doing real good.
Well, that's good. Yeah, Quinn Pushkar, Coach Seidel, and Ty Bartell over there. Welcome back, Ty. I haven't seen you in a while. And now, of course, I am Mac. So, who shaved Mac? What do you mean? What's wrong with my? What's wrong with my?
You're looking like newborn baby Mac today.
Well, it's baseball season, so the beard goes bye-bye during baseball season. It's kind of like the Yankees, how they stink right now. Worst record in Major League Baseball. Off to the worst start ever. I do the same thing with the shave. Well, I have a little bit, but
we need one of those Yankee updates with Jeff Bezos. I don't know where he's been.
That's why that's why he's not on, because he doesn't want to do them, because they stink right now.
Well, I think today we can get a Padres update with Billy Mack. How'd that weekend go?
Let's look at Fernando Tatis's fire numbers throughout the season right now. I think, one home run, .67 batting average?
Well, he's just coming back from an injury, so we'll leave that alone. Tough guys.
One error per game.
All right, so we're going to move right along to National Garlic Day. So, Quinn, are you a garlic guy? Not a garlic guy?
No, not at all. Not at all.
You're a heavy Italian eater, and you don't appreciate garlic?
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, but I'm not going to just have it laying around my house.
So you're a vampire. So you don't deal with garlic.
I guess so. I mean, you know my sleep schedule. I guess I could be a garlic or a vampire. Why not?
Coach Seidel, garlic.
Absolutely, especially on bread.
Like the garlic butter? That's or like just garlic.
Either or. I mean, the garlic butter is real solid, but garlic on everything. I mean, I do a lot of like grilling just because, single guy living alone, got to do the grilling stuff, and garlic goes into everything. Maybe that's like a one leads to the other kind of thing.
That's fair. Ty Bartel, garlic guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Any dish that can really use garlic, I throw it on there. Alfredo is usually chicken Alfredo is one of the best, and of course, if you're doing like burger, steak, you always got to use the garlic powder or some form of garlic, minced garlic, or whatever have you. Yeah, for sure though, big garlic guy.
So I'm gonna say yes, but leading into it is I did have a pretty good weekend, Coach Seidel. I bought a Traeger over the weekend, so that should be here in a month or so. So when it gets here, I'll be able to make out a whole bunch of stuff hopefully from G. Burbick Farms. We'll go down there, Kate and I will go down there and get a bunch of meat, and then we'll come back and put a little garlic on everything and put it in the smoker and let it go, man. So pretty stoked about that. So yeah, I'm a big garlic guy. Of course, with Kate, every day she's a hardcore Italian, wants to make all kinds of pastas and sauces. She's a huge garlic girl as well. So let's move on from the garlic scene here. So hello, Michael Page. How you doing today? Coach, pretty cool thing for YSN, the brand, the network, over the weekend. Went to a special place, a pretty cool place, probably the best place in Pittsburgh because everything else in there seems to – but PNC Park's pretty cool. So talk to us about PNC Park, the YSN experience out there.
Yeah, just an unbelievable experience, not only, for us as YSN, for DJ and I individually, but, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for some of those kids. I think, talking with Coach Wolf, he said that they were there 4 years ago and had the opportunity to be there and play a game 4 years ago. So, really once every 4 years to get a chance. And, they really got an opportunity to get all the kids onto the field, get them all, at least an at-bat or a chance to, play right field or somewhere, to just be able to have that experience and say that they had it. DJ and I were talking on the way out, and we're not sure still from our perspective what the cooler thing was. The people at PNC were just fantastic with their hospitality. And I don't know if they were just saying it to make us feel good, but, one of the guys told us, yeah, hey, we know who you are. And we were like just blown away by the fact that a major league organization knows who we are at YSN.
That's pretty neat. I mean, I'll tell you what, I was so excited when I got to join up with Ursula and talk about some of the fields that we get a chance to play on. Columbiana over the weekend hit a grand slam. So they go from one professional park to another. They go to PNC Park and then turn around a day later and they're off to Canal Park down out in Akron, the Rubber Duck Stadium. I mean, talk to us a little bit about how Columbiana is like popping. It is the hopping place to be right now, and they're playing everywhere.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they're getting all these opportunities, but, like you say, what an incredible opportunity for the kids. And, I got a chance to watch some of that game at Canal Park, and, what a cool experience that had to be. And for our guys doing the game as well, because they had an opportunity to be in the press box. DJ and I had a pretty cool view from field level from one of the camera bays right next to the dugout. But to have that view all the way up from the press box and get the full background of the city of Akron in there, just a really cool look.
So, like, usually you talk about, like, you play at nice or awesome stadiums like a Final Four or a state championship. What are some of the coolest stadiums that maybe you've coached in or played in ever?
As a guy that grew up in kind of the Alliance area, it was always my dream to get an opportunity to play at Mount Union. And, so that's got to be up there on the list for me. Unfortunately, never had a chance to play in any like state championship games or anything like that. I always kind of had Paul Brown Tiger Stadium at the top of the list for me as places that I'd love to play or coach in at some point eventually. Just the tradition and everything that goes behind Paul Brown Tiger Stadium is really cool. Fawcett, another one that, man, if you get an opportunity as a high school kid to play at Fawcett, first of all, it either means you're playing for Canton McKinley or playing against them, or you're playing in a state championship game at the birthplace of football. And to have that here in Ohio is just incredible.
Quinn, what about you? You've coached in some pretty crazy places. Anything that kind of sticks out of maybe played or coached there?
Yeah, I mean, being a player-wise, I mean, I got to play in the Canton Civic Center where the Charge play. So, I mean, that was kind of cool. Playing-wise, though, we didn't really play anywhere too special other than that. I mean, maybe St. V's in a scrimmage or something like that was always cool, but Canton Civic Center playing was pretty cool. Coaching-wise, I got to on the travel scene, I get to coach in a lot of cool places. Down in Kentucky, we go to the Run for Roses, and we get to coach in the Kentucky Expo Center. They bring in a lot of hardwood floors from the Final Fours and schools in the area. So, like, being a Kentucky guy, I got to coach on a Kentucky wood floor, which was pretty cool. And then I had a game a couple years ago in Freedom Hall. So that was the old arena where Louisville used to play before they built their new facility. So getting to coach in something like that was pretty cool too.
Ty, any memorable places, whether broadcast or played in or?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously right off the bat, being a big Cleveland guy as I was a little bit after Herb Score and Joe Tate. So my dad always had me remember two names in sports and guys to look up to if I want to get in this business. It was always Fred McLeod and Tom Hamilton. Just because of the speed and the differences in the games, the way that they call the games are very different. So being able to go up to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse and call a couple of games in the Cavalier Stadium earlier this year was actually one of the really coolest things, to be able to sit there and call a game in the same stadium that guys such as Fred McLeod were able to do, and had so many memorable calls with so many memorable teams for so many years. It was a really cool thing and a cool experience to be able to sit there and say, I went there and I did that.
Yeah, one of the most memorable places that I can remember coaching was this is before we became the Astro Falcons, and we were Baird Brothers baseball team, and we took a team, a pretty good team, down to University of West Virginia, and we played on their turf surface field, and it was so nice. It was such a great time, and we had a great time with the staff. I mean, that was something that was pretty unique. My brothers, on the other hand, have played in awesome places. A little envious of them. They've played in places like Omaha, Nebraska, to Jacobs Field, to Worldwide Sports of Disney in front of Tom Izzo and Bobby Knight, and on courtside while playing in front of some of those guys. So that was pretty cool. I was a fan at that point, but they played in way cooler stadiums or places than I have. And, coaching kind of, as coach will say, we've had some opportunities, and it's been, and we seem to almost embrace it and be more excited about it. And the kids are so always focused on just playing that they kind of forget to look around and say, holy crap, I'm playing here. And their job is solely to be focused on the game, which is always cool, because that's our job as coaches, is to, hey, don't be worried about the distractions, just play the game and whatnot. So pretty cool thing. I mean, it's YSN is growing, man. And this weekend shows it. 2 professional parks. We broadcasted them both live right here on the network, and it's a pretty cool thing here. So
one thing too, I just wanted to give a shout out to, because it was actually my first experience calling a game out here. I've never been out to Ysn Park. And surprising as that is, because Ysn Park is huge, that is a beautiful baseball facility and baseball complex that a lot of these local kids have the opportunity to play at. And I just want to give a shout out to all the kind folks at Ysn. They do a great job and have everything set up. That park, that whole facility, the press box of the fields, everything is beautiful down there and runs so smoothly. So just to give a shout out to Ysn Park and how they've been doing things for years now.
I mean, there's a lot of cool people there. You got Ron Bova, who he runs the maintenance department, so field crews and all that. You got Bob Beam running a lot of the schedule, Scott Rorick. You got our own Steve Leslie, who's a big part of that, and of course Kate Kelly is the woman behind the scenes, the one who pulls the strings sometimes. So and then of course the Ysn family in general. I mean, that's a great place. I will say, and I will go on record, because I feel this way wholeheartedly, is I don't want to say the kids take advantage of it, or it's one of those things that it's like, oh yeah, Scene Park. And then you get the outside teams who come in who've never played here before, and they're like, wow, this is awesome. And the kids are a little bit spoiled. I guess that's probably the best word for it is they're a little bit spoiled when it comes to playing at Scene Park because it is a great facility, one of the best around the area. Another one that's for Little League is the Field of Dreams is an amazing just around the area for in a baseball sense. And outside of that,
we forgot one on the basketball side, and I would feel really guilty if I didn't mention my favorite place of all time to watch or play basketball, and that's at the field house at Struthers.
Yeah, I would agree. We do have some really cool places. The one I used to remember was the old Hubbard Stadium. That was one that we used to play our districts in, and it was, to me, it seemed like a lot bigger. I don't know if it is or not anymore, but I felt like that was I think it's just the upper deck. When you have that upper deck section, it makes the stadium feel a little different. And it had an old school vibe to it. So really cool stadium. It was a really cool thing. Let's move on to our favorite thing and our go-to when we don't have nothing to talk about, which is football. So let's talk about Alex Smith today. Alex Smith announcing his retirement. Any thoughts on Alex Smith, Quinn?
No.
Yeah, no.
I got nothing. Good for him. Good career. I mean, he had a good career. He did some good things. Came back from a wicked injury.
And I think that was the whole goal anyway, was he was going to come back. He knew he was only playing 1 year. He needed to prove it to himself that I can get back to playing at this high level of this sport and that I can do it and then ride off into the sunset. I mean, it's a great story for him. He'll always have one of the greatest stories, I think, one of the greatest comeback stories in the NFL. I mean, you look at his numbers, he had some good numbers throughout his career too, but I mean, good for him that he's not going to have to go out of the sport on injury. He can go out on his own terms, and he kind of did that by coming back this year.
Yeah, I think that, he was probably interested in coming back for one more year. That's probably why the decision comes today is, he hasn't necessarily had an opportunity yet present itself for this season had he wanted it. We were kind of talking about it down here at HQ. DJ and Ant and I were kicking it around right when it got announced, and my take on it was awesome. You got to come back. You got to do the 1 year thing. You got comeback player of the year. They're talking about naming that award after you. Hey, you got a smoking hot wife and you got a couple of kids running around. Go enjoy your life. Go enjoy. He's going to end up being a broadcaster or a coach somewhere. And, the one that popped to mind right away was with Urban Meyer in Jacksonville now, don't be surprised if you see Alex Smith pop up in Jacksonville.
And if that's not the case, he's going to be an analyst or a color commentator somewhere. Someone's going to pick Alex Smith up.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I think with the success of Tony Romo, I think the quarterback position coming out retirement is going to be a hot commodity for broadcasting. I mean, especially with Tony Romo doing his thing.
And with him being that running style of quarterback, too, it kind of caters to the more modern guys now. He can kind of give you that insight, too, of those guys that, more of those scrambling type quarterbacks.
I'm interested to hear all you guys' take on this because we were kind of talking about this down here, as this was kind of coming out today, and we have lunch and just kind of talking about it. Do you think that had Alex Smith not had that leg injury and come back from it, that we would regard Alex Smith as the same kind of guy that we regard him as now, having gone through that? Because if you remember, before the injury and stuff happened, he was always just kind of looked at as a game manager type of quarterback that, people were just kind of dismissive of his career.
Well, I want to talk about his career too, because I always feel like he got pushed out everywhere he's ever been. For the most part. I mean, all the way to Washington. You go back to San Francisco. He basically took him to an NFC championship game, and then the very next year they kicked him to the curb and to Kaepernick. They drafted Kaepernick, and they said, hey, this Kaepernick kid's going to take us to the next level. And then they went over to Kansas City. And right away, he was the biggest reason why Kansas City was good. I'm not saying they didn't have good players. They were super young, but he stabilized that quarterback position in Kansas City. And then all of a sudden, a couple years there, and then boom, there's Mahomes. And then he gets pushed out and then came right over to Did he make another stop before Washington, or did he come right to Washington? He came right to Washington. So once he got to Washington, I think he had 1 year, played pretty good, and then the second year he got hurt, correct? Or was it the first year he got hurt?
Second or third.
I thought he played the first year, and then I think he got injured like partway through, and he missed his entire second year with them.
So, you're talking about a guy who really came in and stabilized franchise. Before Alex Smith got there to San Francisco, they were terrible. They were bad. So he came in, I think it was right after the Singletary years, or right after. So he came in there, stabilized the quarterback position. You remember the guys that were playing quarterback for the 49ers. I don't think they're even remotely good. And this is my issue right now. Garcia was well before Alex Smith came in. Oh, yes. Well before.
2 years before, because he got drafted when he was around. Yep. Look it up, Billy. Look it up. 03 was Garcia's last year in San Francisco.
In San Francisco. And when did Alex Smith come into the league?
05.
You sure that wasn't Carson Palmer's year? 05?
I do think he went in 05. I'm pretty sure he did come in 05.
Palmer was a rookie in 03. Don't fact check me, please.
He's going really hard on you with this one, though, too.
Anyway, I really feel like he's still better than a third of the quarterbacks that are in the starting quarterbacks this year.
Want to become famous, Billy? You can buy some followers and viewers right now on that link.
Well, little did that person know. Billy. I'm already famous. Yeah, Jeff Garcia stunk. Deal with it.
Who's throwing it? T.O.
Yeah, and then T.O. left.
Yeah, and so did Garcia.
But I guess to get back to your point, though, Coach, I don't think you'd hear as much talking of Alex Smith had that injury not happen and he decided to try to make that comeback because, in his career, average numbers all the way around, I think he might have like 200 passing touchdowns, 100 interceptions, I think 40,000 passing yards, which, is a solid career. And like Billy said, did a great job with that Kansas City organization. But, at the end of the day, I think it's just going to be one of those. He was a good quarterback, but I think him coming back is going to be the biggest story. But, at the end of the day, yeah, it's bad that he had to suffer the injury, but he might get an award named after him, and everybody's going to remember his name. For his legacy-wise, everybody knows who Alex Smith is now because
he's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. There's nobody would say that he's not a Hall of Fame quarterback.
No, for sure. But his story is really cool.
I don't know why I always think of Ryan Fitzpatrick in that same category, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of that journeyman quarterback that's traveling around the league a bunch and been
terrible.
I would never put Ryan Fitzpatrick in the same category as Alex Smith, ever.
Yeah, you're the same guy that would vote for Edelman for the Hall of Fame.
No, I wouldn't. But I would not. Because only reason why I would say that is because Alex Smith has had way more success in the NFL than Ryan Fitzpatrick. Period. How? It's not even close. He's had way more success.
Smith done that Fitzpatrick hasn't.
Won playoff games, a whole bunch of them.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's all about championships.
Well, yeah, if we're talking about a Hall of Fame story, but we're not. We're just talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick or Alex Smith.
Oh, I would definitely put Alex Smith a step above Ryan Fitzpatrick. But he's kind of in that same category of those game manager type quarterbacks that have had decent careers, but they've traveled.
He fits right in between what I feel is Ryan Fitzpatrick and Kirk Cousins. He's like right in between that because I feel like Kirk Cousins is a little bit better than Alex Smith was, and Ryan Fitzpatrick's a little bit worse. And I think Alex Smith fits like perfectly right in between those two.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, Quinn, what's on the network tonight?
Let me pull that up. I actually was pulling it up right as you were talking.
Well, let's see. Let's go.
In there, Billy, Mr. William.
We
got dead time here because Quinn is taking forever.
I know we have a big game out there in Canfield because Canfield and Fitch play, and I know Richie Giuliano has that out there, and that'll be a great game for the network. If you're not watching Fitch and Canfield today and tomorrow, that's going to be two of the best teams in the area, I think, going at it.
I will be tuning into that for sure.
Yeah, so we got
who's pitching for the who's pitching for the Falcons?
I'm not on the rotation. I want to say it's Lawrence's turn, Jake Lawrence's turn, but I don't know if they're going to throw Ross Leonard or Joe Roth because I think they're on 6 days rest right now, so they could really throw anybody they want out there. They might not show all their starters too because they threw Aiden Webb in their last game, so I'm not sure what Coach Paris's strategy is against the Cardinals. He might not want to show them all of his pitchers and maybe want to save them for playoff time. Maybe he doesn't want to show all of his weapons to Canfield right now.
They're not in the same division for playoffs, though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what his strategy was because it was last time it would have been, I believe, Roth's turn in rotation and they went to Webb. But we'll see. Coach Paris is a very interesting coach, and, I mean, he's done a great thing with the Falcons over there. So I'm not sure. I think it really could be up in the air to who starts tonight, really.
Got to think they got to come after them pretty hard here, especially game one in the series in a back-to-back, right? So tonight and tomorrow they play each other, correct?
Yeah, and I mean, you could realistically, for Fitch's side, go with Lawrence, Roth, or Leonard and be comfortable with either of those two guys those 3 nights. And, of course, Canfield's got an array of pitching over there, too. I would probably, as long as Beitelgeuse didn't pitch prior, you got to expect, I would expect to see him either tonight or tomorrow. Well,
the game we did, Quinn, was their last game. What day was that? Was that Thursday?
I believe so, yeah, Thursday. Thursday.
So the Thursday they haven't played since Thursday.
That was Shaw who started. He only went 1, and then
so I mean,
had a bullpen guy come in.
Campbell's got a few days of rest too.
Yeah, so I know both. I got some Astro kids on both teams, so I know they're really excited about teeing off against each other. So in a golf expression, so that'll be a good one. What else is on the network tonight, Ken?
So DJ is going to be on at Mohawk. They got Beaver Falls coming in. Richie's doing the Canfield game, like you just said. Jacob is doing LeBray at Salem. Got Brennan Miller doing the Hubbard at South Range game. Field 1 at Scene is going to be taken by Ian, who's doing the Youngstown East versus Ursuline game. Andy is on Scene 3, and that's Niles and Struthers. Scott, part of the Tommy P's group, down at Liverpool. They're going to be traveling to Indian Creek. And that's all the baseball we got. Softball-wise, we got Hubbard taking on South Range. That's going to be Anthony. And then Niles is at Struthers, and the school's going to be doing that game.
Ooh, so pretty good ones on the network tonight. If you're just hanging around the house today and get on ysnlive.com, go to live games, and there you go. Pick whichever one you want.
Pick any game because, I mean, it seems like we're seeing a no-hitter or a perfect game on the network or around the area every other day, it feels like. So, I mean, some great pitching going on around the area right now.
I was just about to ask as if you saw what was going down in the yet-to-be-sponsored comment section.
Do you think Alex Smith's wife makes him keep the leg sleeve on when they get down to business? Well, that's a pretty nasty scar, I will say. And probably the greatest punchline coming from Michael Page in weeks since he and finally is admitting that Michael Sherman or Richard Sherman is not the guy the Browns should want. So, way to be, Page. Way to fire back at our president.
That's right. Somebody's got to keep him on his toes.
I mean, you know. So
time for a commercial.
Yeah, let's please take a commercial break.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
And welcome back to the Power Hour. And Coach, let's move right into the NFL draft here because it is coming up next week. So there's some pretty cool headlines going on right now. Trevor Lawrence has come out and said a couple things that a lot of people maybe on the controversy side, maybe not so much controversy, but something that quarterbacks don't really say is football isn't number one to me. Is that a guy you want to take with a number one overall pick, saying, hey, football is not really my main thing. It's not my heart isn't into it as much as, like, I don't care if I win a Super Bowl or not.
So I think guys have to be really careful the way that they phrase some of these things, because reading more about what he actually was saying, it makes sense, but it's silly season for the NFL, and they are looking for literally any reason to nitpick every single one of these guys. I mean, you're seeing stuff with Mac Jones where they went back into his sister's Twitter account to when he was 14 years old and dug stuff up. So, I think you just have to be really, really careful about the way you phrase things and the way you come across when you phrase things. I don't think there's any doubt that Trevor Lawrence is still going to go number one overall. It would be shocking if this cost him money or draft stock or anything like that. But you just have to, and it's imperative that coaches especially, but coaches, parents, anybody around these players, talk to them about the way that they come across in the media.
I think too. I mean, with the way he said it, I mean, I don't pay much attention to it because, like Coach said, this is silly time for the NFL. Because, I mean, you think about it, NFL's their job, right? And, I mean, I don't know the exact quote, so forgive me on this. But, I mean, like, I would certainly say that, like, my family, my kids are definitely things that I would take more importantly than my job, no matter what that job would be. Or that, I see – I mean, I guess maybe using the word more important is, this isn't as important. The most important thing in my life right now is probably not the way to put it, I guess, the way Coach said. But I mean, like, I understand where he's coming from, trying to be kind of like, humble and saying, like, there are more important things in life than just football. And that's kind of a thing we berate athletes for, is because they have all this money and all this this fame and fortune. So it's like you don't have, you have an easy life. All you have to do is play sports to make money. I think he's trying to take it that approach. I just think he phrased the way he said it in a way that all these analysts and everybody that's just looking for content on their networks are just going to feed on that and, try to go after him for that. But I mean, I think he's number one pick regardless. We'd have to do something astronomically bad or out of the ordinary to drop from that number one draft position.
Not only that, Todd, but I think that this year is an interesting case study in how ridiculous some of these things are getting with the draft, because technically at this time of year we would typically be into the NHL playoffs and be into the NBA playoffs, and there would be bigger storylines going on right now. Because of the way that things fell with the COVID shortened seasons last year.
What's the NHL? What is that?
It's that thing that's still better than the NBA.
Ooh.
So, but there would be other storylines out there, and really right now we're in kind of, and I hate to say it because baseball's fun and exciting all the time, but typically April baseball isn't getting a lot of headlines. So I think we're seeing more of this stuff this year because guys are digging for content right now.
Do you remember, did they do the same type of treatment? And I'm sure they did, but I feel like it was just as bad, maybe even worse with Joe Burrow last year because we didn't have anything going on in that time period before the draft. So I feel like I remember Joe Burrow stories coming out every day last year.
Right. And I've got friends that goes from, and they were talking about how, like these private investigators from the NFL were like literally just knocking on doors in town, trying to dig up anything they could on Joe Burrow.
That's kind of crazy.
Well, listen, this is why this question is important and how he said things, because I know DJ is not a fan of Colin Cowherd, but I'm going to steal one of his lines is you're basically giving the keys to a 19 to 20-year-old the keys to $1 billion organization. Like that's going to be your front man, So if you're going to do that, you have to do your due diligence and hiring private investigators, going out and knocking on doors to do that. I understand why they do all of that stuff. And again, circle back to the question, is this a guy you want to represent your $1 billion corporation saying, Super Bowl's,
Well, and not only that, Billy, but, think about the fact that everybody was so high on Joe Burrow last year. Everybody's so high on Trevor Lawrence this year. You don't think that some franchise that's sitting down around 7, 8, 13, anywhere in there wouldn't love to create some sort of controversy surrounding this guy so that he falls to them?
I know for a fact that this has happened before. Okay.
Yeah.
I know a couple players that the stories have come out later down the road in life that there was made up stories so certain players would drop. I do know that.
Players also have a tendency too. They'll do it to themselves because they don't want to go to a certain team. So they'll start acting out. I mean, maybe not outrageously, but you all of a sudden start seeing more videos of them drunk, acting like idiots and everything out in the public because all of a sudden now they don't want to go to the worst team in the league. They don't want to go to that franchise. They want their draft stock to drop a little bit. And sometimes you'll see that happen as well.
No, for sure.
Quinn, you want to add in?
I wasn't.
No.
What are you talking about? Had some other stuff going on.
Trevor Lawrence and some of the things that he's been saying lately.
I don't know. I don't even know what he's saying. I saw that he donated $20,000 to some Jacksonville charities today, though.
Yeah.
They're over the weekend or whatever.
Well, I think wasn't that like fans in his,
something. Yeah, they're all tied to him
in advance of his probably being drafted number 1 overall.
Well, the other interesting thing on the NFL draft, anyway, is the 49ers. They seem to be throwing all kinds of different quarterbacks in that mix at that third pick. I hear Mac Jones. You hear Fields, and now you're hearing a little bit of the kid who's having a pro day today. The North Dakota State is Trey Lance. Like, who's that pick going to go to? Who's going to be in that number 3 spot for the 49ers? It's obviously going to be a quarterback. The Jets are basically sold on the BYU kid. Who's going to go number 3?
I think it's Justin Fields. I think that the natural fit there just makes a ton of sense. And I think that Kyle Shanahan is extremely excited about some of the things that he could do offensively with a Justin Fields.
It seems like that's the most fitting because I don't know. I'm not sold on Mac Jones. Maybe the 49ers are, and I'm just not. I just feel like the team that was around Mac Jones this season was probably one of the best college football teams ever assembled. So he had so many weapons around him that made him look really well. I mean, in the game against Ohio State, I mean, Devonta Smith helped out just as much as Mac Jones did. And I mean, I get it. Yeah, the quarterback still has to throw to the receivers, but it's a lot easier when the receivers are constantly open. I don't know. I feel like Justin Fields, just because of the way it seems like the NFL is shifting now into the more mobile quarterbacks, a quarterback that could scramble a little bit more. It seems like it wants to shift that way right now. It feels like that would probably be the pick to go if you want to be like the 49ers and try to revolutionize the game. And I mean, when you have blockers like Juszczyk that are in the back at fullback, you can do some crazy things too. And Kittle's a really good blocker as well. So I mean, you might be able to do some things there with Fields up in San Fran.
Quinn.
Trey Lance. He's
So,
a stud.
Quinn and I, we were at a restaurant. We were doing the Head at Home series, and this news broke that the 49ers have just traded up to get the number 3 spot. And we both immediately agreed this is for Trey Lance. And there was a lot of hype. I think Trey Lance just had a pro day recently that week or something like that. It was, today's his second.
At the time.
So at the time, it was right around his pro day time, and everybody loved him. And that was kind of my immediate thought was, they're going after Trey Lance, and because he's everything that Ty just spoke about, he's mobile, has an arm. The only thing that scares me, okay,
don't do
is his limited time on the football field.
Oh, I thought
it does not matter. I'm telling you, Trey Lance will be better than Justin Fields.
Trey Lance is the real deal, and I was really scared for a minute there, Billy, that you were going to take the Dominique Foxworth approach and not.
Well, I'm also going to do that too, because I'm also going to do that. And here's the reason why. Because he only played, 19 games? That's it? If that. So he played 19 games against not a power conference. That it's not a lot of tape. It's just not a lot of tape on a guy. That's what scares me. If he did this 19 games in the Pac-12 or the Big Ten or the SEC, I would be a lot more sold on him for sure. I still think the 49ers take this pick, and I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about this pick.
Billy, I'm going to tell you this. North Dakota State is the real deal. They would win.
Okay, their team's the real deal. Their competition isn't always the real deal.
Probably win the Pac-12. They're that good.
Being that good, your quarterback doesn't play against that team.
But they still landed Trey Lance as a recruit.
Yeah. Yes, and they also had Carson Wentz. They also have players that come out of there that are pretty good players. I'm not disregarding that.
Yeah,
okay? I'm not saying that.
Well, here's the thing you're not taking into account. Because everybody always likes to do this and say, oh, well, the level of competition.
Right.
If you can ball, okay? And what we're starting to see now is you've got guys like Tony Romo did not come from a major powerhouse school.
Right.
Dak Prescott did not come from a major powerhouse school. You've got to
Dak Prescott played in the SEC.
Dak Prescott did, yeah.
But he played in the SEC, but he did not play at a powerhouse school.
I don't need you to play at a powerhouse school. I don't need you to do that. I don't want you to get confused on me saying you have to play for Ohio State or Alabama or Clemson. I'm not saying that you have to do that. Obviously, there's players across the league that have come from small schools. I'm talking about just the quarterback position and the competition that he faces. I need to see more than an wide open guy that's 20 yards away. The defender's 20 yards away from him.
But here's the problem I have with that is we just sat here last week, I think it was, and talked about how Division I, Division 1AA or the FBS now, Division II, Division III, NAIA, how there's unbelievable opportunities for kids that are unbelievably talented at all these levels. You're going to tell me that the kids at that level aren't just as talented? I mean, maybe they're a slight step down from like a Power 5 conference school, but like Quinn said, North Dakota State could play with any Pac-12 school. They'd be a lot of football in the Big 12.
Well, I think the draft does a pretty good job of judging that, right? So if you go into the draft, right, of just players, 95%, maybe 97% of them come out of the Power 5.
Yeah, but like I know, scouting has not necessarily caught up. There are still old school scouts out there that look and go, well, he's a Power 5 guy, so he's got to go, above this kid. Just like at the high school level, a Division I kid gets rated higher than a Division IV kid just because, hey, you played at Division I. It's not necessarily that the talent isn't there.
That's the thing, though.
The tape isn't there.
Billy, when you say 95% come from Power 5, then the 5% that doesn't, probably 60% of that 5% comes from North Dakota State.
Again, don't care. I'm not arguing that North Dakota State is good. Okay, I'm not saying any of that. All right. I'm saying the competition that they face year in and year out does not prepare a quarterback into the NFL.
Well, then how do
Yes,
you
Carson Wentz came out.
You can't punish him for that, though.
Well, you do every year in the draft. There's players who, because they played X, Y, and Z, they drop because of those. Because they overmatch their competition.
Guys. But we're going to.
Because they're SEC playing against teams like Florida and Georgia and beating Ohio State's ass every one of the year.
Who is their tough competition?
Well, they're talking
Georgia Tech.
There's still 5-star recruits that go to Miami, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame.
So I'm interested in the fact that you said 5-star recruits because I saw this statistic yesterday, and I think that it ties in perfectly here. So in the Big Ten, there are 19 current 5-star recruits in football at Big Ten schools. Do you want to take any guess at all at how many of those 19 are at Ohio State?
16.
17.
Yeah, I've seen the stat.
So there's one at Michigan and there's one at Iowa. That means Wisconsin doesn't have one. That means Nebraska doesn't have one. That means that
that's it. Then Ohio State's like North Dakota State. They don't play anybody tough and they stink. There you go.
And why do you think Ohio State quarterbacks don't make it in the NFL?
Because they stink.
Period.
They stink.
There is a huge difference from Ohio State's schedule to North Dakota State's schedule.
It's pretty comparable. They play cupcakes.
No.
I mean, YSU's like Michigan.
I think there's no argument that if the players are that good, they'll find you. I mean, that's something that we've been saying with every sport. And I'm not saying, I said Trey Lance is going third. I said it. Coach, you didn't say it. I said it. Well, I said he's going third.
I sold Trey Lance to you at B-Dubs that one day. I sold him to you.
You're not pulling the Jeff Bezos thing with me.
I sold him to you and you know it. You just don't want to admit it.
No, that didn't happen at all.
You don't understand the FCS.
Hey, on the topic of smaller school kids or smaller division kids getting an opportunity in the NFL draft, I do want to point out to you that we are going to see a Division III guy go in the first round this year. The big lineman, Wisconsin Whitewater.
Yeah, that lineman.
Awesome.
I saw a lot of stuff at like that Senior Bowl or whatever.
I'm a huge fan of
people.
Unapologetically rocks the beer gut and the beard.
Yeah.
Again, if you're that good, they will find you, no doubt. I'm just saying for a quarterback to be, you got to judge a quarterback on something, okay? And with my eyes, I'm looking out there. Yes, he's making plays and he's skinning the rock, but great, because again, like you pointed out, they would have won the Pac-12. So they're that damn good. They could roll anybody out, and they did this year, and they were pretty good this year too, right? And he didn't even play quarterback for them. So that goes.
They lost 2 games. It was the first time they've lost 2 games in the conference.
Again, pretty good team, right? So even without their quarterback, they went on a pretty good run this year. So nobody's sitting here saying that their team's not good. Or I'm just saying when I watch their film and the DB falls down somewhere in the middle of the screen and he's throwing at wide open guys, that's a small concern for me if I'm an NFL scout. And I want to see quarterbacks who could throw to tight windows, tight coverage, and make the correct reads. That's something that every team in the NFL wants to see out of a quarterback when they draft him.
I'm interested now because you brought it up, Billy. How much FCS tape have you watched where cornerbacks at the FCS level fall down somewhere in the middle of the field?
Here's I'm obviously stretching.
I've only seen that once.
I know you, but so what's it going to take for you to get on board with FCS quarterbacks being at the level of, or having the ability to be at the level of some of the Power 5 guys?
What would it take for me to jump in? I mean, when the Browns had the first pick a couple years ago, wanted Josh Allen. That's an FCS guy.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Wyoming's not FCS.
They're not? What conference are they in?
The WAC.
Well, then that doesn't count. So, yes, I'm not completely sold on FCS guys because of the competition that they face. It's similar to me like when Texas Tech years ago, when they had Case Keenum was out there throwing for 10,000 passing yards every year.
It wasn't FCS either.
It's similar to me. Listen to the shit that's coming out of my mouth.
Billy, I want to put you on the spot. Can you name 5 FCS quarterbacks that have played in the NFL?
You got Tony Romo.
If he doesn't include the one from YSU, I'm going to be mad.
They were D2 at the time, I think.
Were they?
So you got Tony Romo. You got Carson Wentz. You got Trey Lance, who's going to be an NFL guy.
He in the NFL yet. He don't count.
He hasn't played.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
You got, I want to was Troy Aikman an FCS guy?
No, he went to UCLA.
Yeah.
Well, then there you go. There's my guys.
So 2.
So 2 out of 5.
2.
Okay. Name the 5 then, tough guy.
Kurt Warner, Ron Jaworski, Tony Romo, Carson Wentz.
Wasn't Joe Flacco? Joe Flacco was
Flacco.
Garoppolo was too. Jimmy Garoppolo.
So you got 5, okay?
I mean,
you got 5, and there's 30 every year that come in, okay? So they're not on the same level, and they're not as good as. I'm not saying some of them aren't, but overall they're not as good. If they were that talented, they would have been in the major 5 conferences.
How do you know that Trey Lance just didn't want to go to the FCS? I'm
only judging him on where he's at.
Win a championship every year.
Well, he didn't. He went to North Dakota State.
And he won a national championship.
That's great. So happy for him. And he's going to be the 3rd. Again, I picked him 3rd.
You
guys are poo-pooing on me. I picked him 3rd.
I picked him 3rd.
Pick him 3rd.
On that bandwagon. You're just like Betos. I picked his whole bracket.
I picked him 3rd.
You're like Betos. I picked his whole bracket. I picked this draft.
No. No, I'm not like Betos, but that is correct. You actually did do all that. So you did pick his entire bracket.
Just for the record, Billy, there are 130 schools that play in Division I for football.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So not all of them are seniors or draft eligible players. You've got some freshmen that are starting. So basically what you're telling me is that you have to be one of the top 65 guys in the country for you to believe that you're worthy of being considered great.
I don't think I understand what you're saying.
So about 65 would be about half of the Division I starting positions that are available for draft eligible quarterbacks. About half, just to rough estimate.
Okay, so 65 guys.
So you're telling me that, is that me?
I got a crazy echo. So loud.
So what you're saying basically is that you have to be one of those 65 guys to be considered elite.
No, I would say it's smaller than that to be elite. Out of those 65, 5.
But to be considered to be elite, you have to start out in that pool of 65.
End up in that 65. Maybe not start in that 65, but end up in that 65.
So you can't be outside of that. You can't be a FCS guy. You can't be a Division II guy. You got to start out in that 65 pool. Or be
do you mean to be recruited into college? Is that what you're saying?
No, to be considered as an elite level quarterback to go to the NFL. Because what you're saying is that you want Trey Lance to be one of those 65 guys that's draft eligible or in that draft eligible category in order to, deserve a spot near the top.
I don't follow your question at all.
For
whatever reason, I can't follow it. I think Trey Lance is a great prospect. I like him a lot. I also, again, said I like him with the 49ers with the 3rd pick. Okay? Mind you, I said 3rd pick. You said Ohio State quarterback. So I went FCS. You did not. You went Big Ten, which is fine. There's no reason with that. It's not that I'm – in this particular case, I really like Trey Lance. But my only fear is that there's not enough tape on him, and 2, he doesn't play top-level competition week in and week out. I think that's fair when you compare a lot of those teams that he plays to a lot of teams like the guys that we're judging in that top 5, those 5 quarterbacks, the Mac Jones, the Fields, and the Trevor Lawrence, and the BYU kid. You could basically say the same thing about BYU kid, because his level of competition was not good either. I would completely be okay with that. Not, Quinn, an FCS team, okay? But it's the same issue. To me, it doesn't have anything to do with FCS. We got off the wrong. We took a right turn and then a left turn and then a right turn again when we started talking FCS. But the competition week in, week out, I wasn't impressed with a lot of his stuff either. The BYU kid. My only concern with Lance is, can he live up to the hype? Because at pro days, he could sling it and make every single throw. He could do everything you ask him to do. But can he do it against NFL talent? I don't know, because a lot of times on his film, he's throwing the wide open windows. And that's my concern.
My only question, Bill, you're talking about the talent levels. Then why do all Alabama quarterbacks stink?
Who said Alabama quarterbacks are good?
They play the best competition.
And how many of them have been drafted in the top 5?
Then why shouldn't this Alabama kid be the number 1 pick in the draft? He's played the best competition. He plays the best kids.
That's not the point. That's not the point. That is not the point at all, Quinn. Okay? Because if what you're saying was true, then the first 30 picks would be Alabama kids. That's exactly what you're saying, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm going off of what the NFL scouts are saying, as these guys are the best quarterbacks. Now I'm picking apart these quarterbacks. That's as simple as it gets.
So
that's all I'm breaking it down to. So I'm comparing this quarterback to this quarterback and down the line. Okay? I've already been on record saying I don't love Justin Fields as an NFL quarterback. Whether he pans out, history shows that Ohio State quarterbacks do not pan out.
Well, he's a Georgia quarterback, so that's okay.
Well, let's end this damn show. I've had enough. Let's go to our G. Burbick Farms beef. I know my beef is everybody, so start with Quinn.
My filet goes to Billy. Billy, I love you. Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate you. I needed the content. I needed you to be fired up, and I appreciated it. I loved it. Thank you.
Ty, beef filet.
My filet is just being back on the show. Took a little bit of an absence last week. Was busy. Caught up doing some games, getting busy. Personal life, but just happy to be back and be conversating with you guys and being back on the Power Hour.
Coach,
bring it in here close because I got one for you today. I'm going with a beef, and my beef is a person, and it's Dominique Foxworth at Foxworth24 on Twitter. Somebody cut this up and send it to him because I want to issue a personal challenge to him to come to Grit City and watch a Penguins game with me.
What did he say, by the way? I only seen like the nuggets of him.
He basically said that Trey Lance is questionable because he's out there beating Penguins.
Oh.
On ESPN Sports.
He probably didn't even know that Youngstown State had a team. That's what's funny. So
he knew the mascot.
Oh man. My beef today is Quinn for stirring the pot and getting me all riled up and trying to take me off course about 7 different directions when I was basically just trying to compare quarterbacks down the line here. And mind you, I picked Trey Lance at 3rd. Other people didn't.
Lies.
You're coming at me.
Straight lies.
Coming at me.
I picked
Not
it.
lies.
You jumped on it.
No. See, this is a typical Quinn move where he goes, da-da-da-da, hides in the shadow, I got to be right back, and then comes out and says, oh, yeah, I did that. So that's my beef for today. Deal with it.
You don't even know where Fargo is.
North Dakota.
Have you been there?
Nope.
I've been there 3 times. So there.
Why would I go there?
To support the Penguins. Grit City, Billy. We travel.
Well, that's going to be your show today for the Ysn Power Hour. So we'll be back. Hopefully DJ's back tomorrow because I might need it.
No, we're continuing this tomorrow.
I'm going to have a stroke.
Your host.
Stroke. I need an hour ahead of time so I can prepare mentally.
All right, here's a day for you. Trey Lance is better than any quarterback that's in this draft, other than maybe Trevor Lawrence.
No, so you can't. Maybe.
That'll do it for the show. See you guys.